Welcome, ladies and gents. Welcome to Strictly Art Live, number 68. I'm your host, Rob Wilson, and we are streaming live here from Kick, Twitch, IG, Rumble, and YouTube. Yeah, that place that I tend to forget about, but everybody uses. Good old YouTube. We got 5 platforms we're hitting it from. It's Saturday, April 5th, 2025. It's 9 a.m. A little chilly in the DMV area, but it's supposed to go up to about 79 to the 80s today. So we got a number of subjects to cover. I want to say it is a absolute blessing and privilege to be with you guys today, whether you're here for the live show or the replay. Today we're going to cover Val Kilmer, his passing, and kind of reflect on some of his movies and what he's been known for. Also, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. These guys have really been upping the level of promo because they do have a lot of history together. Back when Cody Rhodes was, new to the WWE, John Cena was already well established by then. 25 years goes by pretty fast. With John Cena, when you keep winning and winning and winning and winning and winning, 5 knuckle shuffle and winning. But we'll keep going. I was going to do a reaction to Karate Kid Legends, but I think that's probably worthy more of a short. I'd have very little promise. I see very little promise out of that. It's good to see Jackie Chan in American film. And besides that, that's about it. Good to see Ralph Macchio. I know people are probably kind of questioning and excited for it since the Cobra Kai thing really got pretty popular on Netflix. So I may make some notable statements about that. My reaction to the Bondsman with Kevin Bacon. I managed to knock out 2 episodes. There's 3 episodes out on Amazon Prime now. I've seen 2 of them. Ooh, buddy. I can't wait to talk about that. And another notable statement I'll probably speak on is John Boyega talking his nonsense as usual. And lastly, there is a world historical villain that we're finding out, and multiple governments are now working on releasing documents about that villain escaping to Argentina. Hint, hint, wink, wink, if you know what I'm talking about. So I may talk a little bit about that towards the end. But yeah, that's what we got going on. And this music sounds like some trash. Forgive me. Let's switch to something else. Let's go a little more epic, because that was terrible. I don't even have the sound up that loud, and I was not happy with that music. I'm gonna drop it down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna be working on 2 pieces today. Probably alternate back and forth. If one frustrates me, I'll go to the other one, and so on and so forth. So here we are. It's Strictly Art Live. This is what we do. I draw. I draw a comic book art, work on stuff. You get to see the progress being made. And this piece in particular right now is John Fairchild, one of my characters from VKP, a prominent tycoon, son of a corporate business legend, who, with his father missing, he now is preparing to take over the reins of the big company C-Tech that they own, that is involved with the usual biological weapons, medical supplies, new technologies, communications, the whole 9, you name it, they're entrenched in it. That's part of my comic book, VKP, coming to you soon. Let's see, I'm gonna back off of that before I do too much detail. So yeah, I'll be working on this, and also I'll be working on This guy. Still working on his costume. Still working on what to do with him, how to put him together. And as I work on his costume, I'll develop a story with him. But it's in the works. You know, making up as I go. I may have to do some research to get it right. You know what I'm saying? So, all right, let's go ahead and get started here. Val Kilmer, as I mentioned, a Hollywood class act. He's been in so many classics. I mean, for the 80s. In fact, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up his movie rap sheet, because there's so many that I might even be surprised with the list. So, okay. So, yeah. Val Kilmer, known for Top Gun, Tombstone, Heat, The Saint, Willow, The Doors, Batman Forever, The Ghost, and The Darkness. I did forget that he was in that. I actually love that movie. I guess my excuse would be that he got overshadowed by Michael Douglas, because one of my favorite quotes of that movie, especially in the previews when they were shown on HBO, the natives, they would be like, "The devil has come to the town," and he was like, "You're right about." Michael Douglas says, "You're right about that. I am the devil." But that was a pretty good movie. I think it was based on a true story too, about man-eating lions. So that's that. Oh, we got the usual suspects popping in on Twitch. I don't really get any more real people. Just these spam artists. Always trying to scam for views and all that. It's unfortunate. It almost makes me wonder, is anyone even real on Twitch anymore that I know, or that come across my channel? Obviously Twitch has its established popular crowd, and I ain't one of them. That's fine with me. That is totally fine with me. Less headache, less stress. So, yeah. Val Kilmer, Ghost in the Darkness, love that. The Prince of Egypt. I actually have never seen that movie. It is a Disney movie, I believe. Based upon the history. Yeah, it's a Disney movie. Based upon the Ten Commandments. The 1956 version with Charlton Heston. Let My People Go, which is a classic. Absolute classic. I would say you wouldn't even have to be Christian to appreciate that movie. That movie was awesome for its time. And hopefully it still gets played on TV. But yeah, Val Kilmer, he got to partake in voice acting with that. So he was in many different places, and that was 1998. So in between the 80s and the 90s, Val Kilmer was already in like some of the hottest movies. Now granted, please forgive me, because I'd never seen Top Gun until about 3 years ago. So I did see it before Maverick came out, but when I finally got a chance to see Top Gun, it was absolutely awesome. It's a shame I didn't grow up with it, but that's fine. That's fine. I was meant to see it when the time came, so it was definitely to be remembered. And to see how Maverick kind of trickled over with Val Kilmer being in the first Top Gun into Maverick, where he was still able to play his role as a character. I think he was an admiral in Maverick, and you could see that his surgery from the cancer and stuff, he had never been the same since then. But very talented actor, still doing his thing. Tombstone. Him as Doc Holliday is probably one of the most iconic roles I've ever seen him in. I'll never forget the first time I saw Tombstone. I was working at McDonald's in North Carolina, and I worked the night shift. I loved working the night. I owned the night, so to speak. And me and a coworker, we were like, we gotta be here all night. And they had a TV downstairs in the basement. The TV had a VHS, and he was like, "Hey, I got some movies. What do you say we check out some movies?" I said, "Sure. What you got?" And he goes through the list and he said, "I got Tombstone." He was like, "You seen that, right?" I was like, "Nope." And he's like, "Oh, you gotta see Tombstone." And we saw it. History was made because I had such a great appreciation for Doc Holliday. Um, it is interesting that Val Kilmer got to play that role as the Doc who was suffering from illness in that movie. Um, he was amazing. I mean, he was just amazing. That showdown between him and Johnny Ringo built up the whole movie. And then when it went down, it was like, Val Kilmer was like, "What?" He gunned him down. That was a wrap. He deserved the bragging rights at that point. Absolutely amazing movie. Tombstone is a 10 out of 10. I don't care what you think about translation into modern time. No, it was a great Western, great story. Um, One of my favorite. Heat, another great movie. In fact, Val Kilmer he was like basically a sleeper character. All the heat was on Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. Those were the two top guys. Al Pacino trying to pursue De Niro, but Val Kilmer was like a integral part in the giant, the big shootout in the street for the bank robbery. Absolutely great movie. And spoiler, he was a sleeper character. He played a very pivotal role in that movie. Absolutely great. The Saint. I have never seen that movie. However, I have been told so many times that it is very good. And he is very good at adapting multiple roles because he's almost like a spy of some type. Let me see. He's a rebellious boy named John Ross. He refers to himself as Simon Templar and leads a fellow orphans in an attempt to run away. He tries a bit for. Oh, okay, they're just going through the whole thing. But I think he's like either a thief or a spy. High-tech thief, yeah, and master of disguise. So I need to watch that movie because I've never seen it. I know. Please, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. I will make it a point to see it sometime this month because it's April. It's a new month, not just a new day. What else? Willow, classic. I grew up watching Willow. Is absolutely a classic in my book. Willow went down the line. I'm talking about the 1988 version. I never saw the new TV show. I don't know if Val Kilmer was in that one, but the original Willow was packed with all kind of mystic ideas and tall tales and short tales, pun intended, of dragons and magic, shape shifting. It was right around in that realm of. I don't know if you ever seen Dragon Slayer. That's a classic in my book. Maybe Lady Hawk with Edgar Howard, Michelle Pfeiffer. Those were great fantasy movies, and Willow was right alongside of it. Especially that knight with the chief knight with the skull for his face, with the skull helmet. He was a killer. He was struck fear into me. You know what I mean? When I was a kid watching that movie. So it was an instant classic. Can't go wrong with it. The Doors, where Val Kilmer played Jim Morrison, the lead singer of The Doors. I actually had never seen it. I didn't know about The Doors nor Jim Morrison until I was older. And in WWE, there was a there was a wrestler from Eminem who went by the name of, I think, John Morrison. And he did a lot of capoeira, but he had kind of like the hippie look. And his intro was like, "Now listen, this ain't no make believe," kind of like the hippie Jim Morrison vibe. His intro music had it, so that's where I learned that's where that character came from, inspired by uh, Jim Morrison, which Val Kilmer played in the movie The Doors, 1991. Batman Forever. Oh, I could never forget that movie. Um, but strangely enough, you know what? Val Kilmer didn't go down as the worst. He did not go down as the worst Batman because somebody else did. Um, went down as the worst Batman, so bad that he actually made a cameo in that terrible Flash movie at the end. We're talking about George Clooney. So Val Kilmer, his legacy is intact, just like who's about to go down in the history as the worst Superman in the worst Superman movie of all time, uh, Cornswoggle or Corn Sweat. He's done. It's talking about career killer. It's done. You know, yeah, Inagata Davida, baby. It's a wrap for him. I'm sure some people enjoy it, but like, look, Henry Cavill's legacy is intact. Christopher Reeve's legacy is forever intact. Even Brandon Ruth, for what he didn't go down as the worst. So Val Kilmer is amongst great actors who will pass on knowing and resting in peace, knowing that he did not go down as the worst Batman of all time. That right goes to George Clooney. So shout out to Val Kilmer for that. And it was an interesting Batman Forever, directed by Joel Schumacher. I think he just came off the heels of Falling Down, which was a great movie with Michael Douglas. I've showed clips of that several times on live streams. So that director did his version after Tim Burton, I guess, kind of left the project, moved on. Val Kilmer, I think, was a good pick. In fact, Batman Forever actually had Michelle Pfeiffer as a Bruce Wayne love interest. Michelle Pfeiffer in between them sheets. So Val Kilmer was set up for a decent amount of success for what they had did with that movie. Tommy Lee Jones, although a great actor, just crazy role he was given as Two Face. Jim Carrey, he put his heart and soul into that daggone role as the Riddler. Maybe came out kind of like the Joker, but had a very interesting story of a box or antenna called Enigma Vision, because he was Edward Nigma, in which this device, when you pair it to your TV, would actually steal the neural energy of the people that watched it. So it made people dumber, as it would make the Riddler smarter. That's an interesting concept. Just something worthy of thinking about. Worthy to think about. Just like, that's interesting. Where'd they get that idea from? Is it true? So, that I think that Batman Forever with Val Kilmer in it had it had a good story to tell. The execution was kind of rough. We did see the beginning of Chris O'Donnell. We saw his origin of Robin, which was it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? It was just a very different type of Batman movie coming off the heels of Tim Burton. So I think many people said that Batman Forever reflected more of the Batman the animated TV show, which I don't think that was that kind of fancy in colors and all that. And for some reason, Joel Schumacher got a chance to make a second Batman movie in the form of Batman and Robin, which was even worse. But it had the most accurate Bane for some reason. For some reason. No, go figure. So that's I think those are like the top most notable legacy movies of Val Kilmer. I think he in War Games as well. Um, I know Matthew Broderick was in War Games. Uh, or Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Was that No, I don't think I've seen that either. Yeah, I remember the Island of Doctor Maroon. With um. Oh man, I'm so fired. With the Godfather. The Godfather himself, Marlon Brando. Oof. Please don't execute me. Because I know I had his name on the tip of my tongue and I was like, oh crap, what is it? You know, um, Me and my sister watched that, The Island of Dr. Moreau. Real Genius. That was the name of the movie that Val Kilmer was in with a bunch of school students that were charged to create a competitive science project, and grant money was involved and all that good stuff. He was like the super smart guy, but very fratty. You know, cool. Cool movie. And then what was it? They say he's in True Romance. I don't remember him in that. I might have to go watch that again to find where he was and what his role was in that movie. Um, and then Top Secret. I've never seen that, but I think Top Secret is it Mel Brooks? No, directed by Jim Abrams and David Zucker and Jerry Zucker and Martin Burke. So you had a whole list of characters, but from the makers of the original Airplane. So it was a comedy, kind of like the Naked Gun, those type of comedies back then, where you could just really, really be funny. And yeah, so I haven't seen that one either. I definitely will take the time out to go see it. Remember, Val Kilmer. If you were a kid in the '80s, you couldn't help but to see him. He was around. He did his thing. Unforgettable. So that is my tribute to Val Kilmer, kind of like reminiscent on the movies that he was in. Matt Monaghan, the classic flipping of the sword and slipping on the snow, still attempting to get the damsel. I think he had more charisma in Willow than Tom Cruise did in Legend. Now, granted, I get it. Tom Cruise was probably younger, but Tim Curry carried that movie for Tom Cruise. Like I said, it was probably his first movie role where Tom Cruise was pretty young, but Val Kilmer killed it in Willow. It was great, always to be remembered. So may he rest in peace. Prayers go out to his family and loved ones and friends on their recovery and remembering him and carrying him on ceremoniously to his you know to his final resting place. He has entertained us, given us some things to think about. He stayed out of trouble as far as we know, to a degree. We didn't hear him go into like drug rage fits or nothing like that. So that's a sign of a decent actor. Even if you got bad habits, you keep it out of the limelight. You stay out of trouble. You kind of like create this image that people think that you are. Um, and I think that paid off for a lot of people in the past. Do I know what he went through? No. Do I know what he did behind closed doors? No. But from what I remember of Val Kilmer, great actor. When you saw him, he was entertaining. He brought some energy to the mix. Enough said. May he rest in peace. So, moving on. Man, I was rambling about this guy for a hot minute, right? We're at the halftime point already, and that means I need to get my butt over to the other drawing that I said I would work on. We're gonna do that. So yeah, or I'll go ahead and take a break now, and then come back. I'll talk about John Boyega Oh, shoot. I still got to talk about Cena and Cody Rhodes. You know what? I probably will just stick to what I put in the short, which was Val Kilmer tribute, John Cena and Cody Rhodes, and the Bondsman. I'll stick to that. Fair enough. Um, the rest I can talk about in the next show, which will be probably midweek next week. So I'll do that. I'll do that. Tight schedule. Tight schedule. All right. So we're going to take a quick intermission, and we shall return, talk about Cody Rhodes, John Cena, and then wrap things up with the Bondsman. Right here on Strictly Art Live, number 68. 68. All right, we're back. We're back. Let's see here. So, I wanted to go ahead and at least say a few words about Mr. Goofball, John Boyega. Let's just get it out of the way, because apparently he gets some steam behind himself, and then he just runs with it. So this guy made a statement about 3 days ago. He basically said to the fans that Star Wars most whitest elite space. So he said, "Let me tell you, Star Wars always had the vibe of being the most whitest elite space." Boyega said in an interview with the new documentary series #1 on the call sheet. It had something to do about black actors, just being like the supporting character type thing. And here's the thing. Look, I was just as disappointed as everyone else that thought Finn was going to be the first stormtrooper to have Jedi powers. Clearly, he wasn't a clone. He stood out amongst his peers in a different way as head of sanitation. But nonetheless, when he picked up the lightsaber, I think most of the fans in the theater, when they saw The Force Awakens, they believed in him. So did I. I thought it would have been a great start for him. He was a fresh new actor. But I mean, the people that directed the movie treated him that way. We didn't embrace that. We thought he was going to be the lead character. He ended up not being the lead character. So, Mr. Boyega, you did that. You took on that for 3 movies, and then you turned around and turned into the side character for the sequel to one of the worst sequels I remember, after coming off of the heels of Idris Elba leading the way in Pacific Rim. You played his son in Pacific Rim 2, and you took second wheel to, again, another type of character that was in Star Wars Force Awakens. It was like Force Awakens 2.0. I get it, you're trying to take work, man, but like, you gotta have a point where you say, hey, here's what needs to happen. Else I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I get it. You can, as an actor, you do have choices. You can't just sit back and say, hey, this is a toxic environment, and do the movie. Or do the movie and then later come out and say, hey, that was a toxic environment. It was, call it out for what it was then. Hey, I thought you did a great job, and they cloned Tyrone. Even though technically that's not your element. You know what I mean? But you were able to pull it off pretty well. You played the Tyrone in every hood. You know, did it pretty well. But I don't get it, man. I don't know. Maybe it's like you're spazzing out. You're taking it out on us, the fans, or the audience, because you know you can't take it out on the actual people that sign your paycheck. And that's a shame. Hell, I was sad for you when they started putting your character Finn, you know, even in a Lego set, they started putting sweat on the Lego. Like, they were trying to make it a point that that's what you were known for, dude. I felt your pain. But this statement is nonsense. You know, we applauded your oncoming into the movie space. We had high hopes for you. But then you start taking these roles. Oh, let me not forget. You played side character, support character in the movie Circles, which was based on, I believe, Death of a Salesman movie with Tom Hanks and Emma Watson. You took that role on too. You agreed to it. Don't get mad if they make you the supporting guy. You get a chance to read the script just like all these other actors, I'm sure. I hope you're reading the scripts or getting a glance of it before you just agree to it. Because if it's something you don't like, you ask about it. And if it doesn't work for you, don't do it. Don't do it. You got freedom of choice. You have free will. Do something else. You got options. I get it. You got to start somewhere, but still, you got options. You can choose to do what movies that might be available to you. You can start off small. I mean, you start off pretty big. Star Wars is about as big as you can really, you know, get the ball rolling on. But yeah, you got thrown a loop. The audience got thrown a loop. We're in the same boat, buddy. Don't lash out on us. It's not our fault you took those roles. You're not giving the money back, are you? All right. Well, just enjoy what you got paid. Say, hey, it wasn't my best movies, but the best is yet to come. You know, have that kind of positive outlook on life than just, hey, it was somebody's fault. It was somebody else's fault but me. Yeah, that's not responsible. That's not a responsible response to being unhappy with your situation. If you don't like your situation, change it. It's that simple. No one can change your situation but you. This motivational speaker, I remember he said this thing. He was like, you can't change the weather, but you can change you. by carrying an umbrella. Little stuff like that. One would think that, John Boyega had influential, good people in his corner, like that to help him out, not just feeding him propaganda. You know, kind of like with what's his name? Stone, the guy that played Cyborg in the Justice League movies. You know, somebody was gaslighting him up, and he thought he was like the greatest thing on God's green earth in Hollywood. And it was like, where's he at now? You know, some of these actors are biting off more than they can chew. They're directing their frustrations at the wrong people. You know, whatever emotional energy and pain that they're feeling from not getting the peer, applaud or audience applaud. It's being directed towards the wrong people, us, people that actually pay to see movies. It's a shame, So, John Boyega, learn to direct your frustrations towards the right people, okay? If you come up with something good, people always talk about, was it Attack the Block, that movie he did? People often, applaud that movie you did. But we got to get more stuff out there. They cloned Tyrone was great. You had pretty good ensemble cast. Yeah, Kiefer Sutherland. You had Jamie Foxx. I think he won an award for that movie. All the way to the MF rings. That was his quote as a pimp. I think he was going for a pimp of the decade in that movie. So, yeah, just think about, your frustrations and just how to better approach them to the public. Cheap shot in the audience, that didn't do anything but cause people to start watching movies. Okay, now moving on. We're talking about John Cena, Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. That's the Raw ticket, at least. I think there's a three-way for the SmackDown Championship. I think it's just a three-way slugfest. I don't think any one of those guys got the belt. Roman Reigns, which is doing great. The was it the OTC? Yeah, the original tribal chief. Got Paul Heyman in his corner, which we know Heyman's probably getting ready to betray him. Fair enough, right? And then we have CM Punk in the mix, and we have Seth Rollins, the visionary, which I get it. He has a pretty strong following, which is awesome. I've never been that big of a Seth Rollins fan, but going back to things, the latest promo that Cody Rhodes and John Cena cut, because John Cena had to talk about why he pulled the heel turn on, Cody Rhodes, why he did it. He said he was in an abusive relationship. That was about 2 weeks ago. So this time, we kind of know the why, the motivation. We know the when they're going to go ahead and duke it out. So Cody Rhodes kind of takes control of the reins about, all right, we heard you complaining, you're a victim, blah, blah, blah. And they trade verbal blows to where you would think they were running for a political office. That's how good the exchange between John Cena as a heel, like he's never been a heel before, to this degree, after having so many years of legacy, he's even attacked the memes that fans have made on him. He's used everything. Nothing is off the table with John Cena. I've heard rumor he was supposed to have like some kind of new look, like kind of like The Rock, the bald head type thing. Hadn't happened yet. I mean, John does have the bald spot, but this is his final farewell tour, and he's looking to tick everybody off. Maybe he's practicing for season 2 of Peacemaker, if he's bringing that kind of energy to it. Right now, I think that's probably the best thing that's in DC because James Gunn is just failing downward and downward and downward. Especially the latest abuse of Superman that he's portrayed, Crypto, and then robots that don't feel anything, but the female robot does because Superman looked at her for a second. And the fact that Superman can't handle yellow sun under a microscope, whatever, that's failed project. But maybe John Cena will bring the same energy he did to season 1 of Peacemaker, along with Robert Patrick, who played his dad, the White Dragon. We'll see. But for right now, Cena's doing great as a heel. His stuff seems a little obvious, like pretty much we know he's going to lose. But if he wins, he says he's going to take the title with him home. He's going to tick off all the fans. And he's going to force them to have to make a new belt. That would be hilarious. But we'll see what happens. The future's not yet set in stone. I believe WrestleMania is about, 2 weeks away? That's going to be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be the weekend of Good Friday. So I think that's the 18th, 19th, and 20th, somewhere around there. I believe so. All right, so that's going to be fun, exciting. I'm curious to see where it may go. Now, let's go ahead and wrap up this show with what I'd like to say is a pretty impressive surprise in the form of the Bondsman. Kevin Bacon is back. I think he just pulled an excellent rebound from that terrible Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. This show, excuse me, I had to have some lit to light up my life, keep me energized, and ride this show out to the end. But this show, the Bondsman, he's literally a bondsman, issuing papers, warrants, and all that stuff, bail bondsman. And he's strapped, but only to find out that he got set up, he got killed, and he got brought back. So, as he's trying to figure out this crazy stuff going on, he finds that he can see demons, and he's putting all this together. Interesting premise. And he's not a pushover. He's not a softie. He's a fighter. A country fighter straight out of Georgia. Pretty interesting setting. He had a normal life outside of being killed and brought back, in episode 1. But episode 2 shows even more interesting dive into this underworld of the supernatural. Finding out that his mom's priest, his mom's reverend, is possessed by a demon as well. And him and her team up to fight the demon. And it's ironic too because Kevin Bacon's mother in this show, I believe she was the mother of Kevin Lomax from... No, she wasn't. Was she? No, I think she was. I gotta look that up. In The Devil's Advocate. I gotta make sure I get this right. I think she played the mother. Oh, come on. They're not gonna show me the cast. Excuse me. Dang it. Judith. Let me see. I could be getting it mixed up, but I want to make sure that I match the face. It's either one or two ladies. Yeah, I don't think that's her. What the heck? All right, so long story short, Kevin Bacon and his mother, who apparently the mother was a bail bondsman before she got him into the business. So she knew a thing or two about that, and she had the scriptures and her cross ready to go. They wasn't playing. They were not playing. This show so far is a very good sleeper. Um, Next generation or new iteration of one of my favorite shows called Supernatural. I'm not saying it's exactly supernatural, but it's a good different spin on the supernatural aspects that happen of the dead, hunting the dead, and so on and so forth. So Kevin Bacon in particular has a unusual contract because it said that the devil basically brought him back to eliminate demons that have escaped from hell. Interesting premise. They got clean, cut to the point. Got some funny, friendly banter. It's pretty good. I like it. I like it so far. And I don't want to say too much about it because it is fairly new. I think it just came out 24 hours ago, maybe 48 hours ago. But I want to give people time to watch it. So I'll talk about it, from time to time. But I do recommend it, if you're into things that go bump in the night. And here, Kevin Bacon's Georgia accent, which I think he does pretty good. Hey, I like Kevin Bacon. I was a fan of his when it came to the supernatural movie he did called Stir of Echoes back in the day. That was pretty damn good. So, shout out to him for knowing, his moveset, so to speak. And I think it's working out so far, and I'm excited to see where it will go as he finds out more of what happened and unfold how he got betrayed, who was in charge of the betrayal, so he can extract his revenge and figure out why the hell did he go to hell. Even his mom was trying to figure that out because she thought she raised him to be a good boy, So we got some interesting story going on there, I like the chemistry. I swear that's got to be her because I remember she saying, "Behold, I send you out as sheep amongst the wolves," in Devil's Advocate. That's got to be her. So yeah. With that being said, ladies and gents, I'm Rob Wilson. I'm an artist. I love to draw. Working on my comics. Okay, yeah, this looks like this is a different woman. It's not the same lady. But I've seen her in so much stuff previously. Is she still alive? Born in 1951. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah. I think we covered all the main topics. I was on time. I was ready to rock and roll for you guys. I enjoy doing this. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to go ahead and share with you my art, my creative ideas, my speculation, and things I look forward to, the things that help inspire me to be creative as well, and hopefully bring to you guys interesting comics, interesting ideas, things of that nature, for future creativity, because that's what I'm here to do: inspire and create. I love that more than a lot of things that I have to do in order to get to do that. So let's keep that in mind, and let's keep the creative juices flowing, and make sure they don't get sour. But I keep talking about all the stuff that we love when we like it, and when it's not that good, let's go ahead and make sure we draw a spotlight on it as well, so that way it doesn't happen again. In the words of George W., fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, no, shame on you. Fool me twice, just ain't gonna get fooled again. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's it. That's all I got for today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got something out of it. Now I gotta get the clipping, and still got some previous clips to go ahead and put together as well. So it's gonna be a busy day off. And I think Madness um, Entertainment Group is working on some kind of show today too. I think like a hangout. So if I'm still up, I'm gonna try to show up for that as well. All right. So y'all take care. You enjoy your Saturday. Have a great time. Be excellent to each other. I'm Rob Wilson, and I will catch you next time on the flip side. Stay chilly. Peace out. God bless.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.